Towering mountains hid its gold. Icy glaciers guarded its passes. But in 1896, the gold rush to Dawson and the Klondike became one of the great adventures of history. They came by boat and pack horse. They came to dig and fight and love and die. The strong came and the weak. The bad and the good. And sometimes it was hard to tell which was which.
Who'd you kill?
2 men.
Seems like a man ought to have a right to leave if he wants to leave.
I figured they shouldn't ought to turn back and taken my cattle with them.
Starring James Stewart, who learned in Bullets and Blood that no man can live for himself alone. Ruth Roman, who knew men and how to use them. Corinne Calvé, wiser than her years. And Walter Brennan and John McIntyre in the epic saga of a far frontier, excitingly photographed on location amid the scenic grandeur of Canada's northern mountains.
Look, I'm pulling out and you're going with me. We do well together.
I'll take your guns and work out a fair trial for you. Take them.
Now, hold on, Rube. Now, there just isn't any reason for a man getting himself killed if he doesn't have to. Now, why don't you go back to the nice people before you get hurt? Mr. Gannon!
The Far Country, 1954. A Western set in the Klondike Gold Rush. The Far Country, starring James Stewart, isn't your typical Monument Valley tale of cowboys and Indians. It's a starker, more introspective journey into the heart of the American West, transposed to the unforgiving glacial landscape of the Alaskan Gold Rush. Here, the sweeping vistas are replaced by snow-capped mountains and frozen rivers, and the moral battles waged are as much internal as they are external. The Far Country offers a fascinating glimpse into a different kind of frontier, one where the allure of gold clashes with the harsh realities of survival, and where the lawless environment tests the limits of human decency, ultimately forcing Stewart's character, Jeff Webster, to confront his own deeply buried sense of right and wrong. The film follows Jeff Webster, a pragmatic and self-reliant cattleman, as he drives his herd north to Dawson City, Yukon Territory, in search of profit. Stewart, known for his everyman charm and inherent goodness, initially embodies a far more cynical and self-serving protagonist than audiences were accustomed to. Jeff is a survivor, driven by a desire for wealth and security, and seemingly unconcerned with the welfare of others. He's a man with a clear goal, to make his fortune and move on, untouched by the moral compromises that permeate Dawson's gold-fueled society. Webster's journey is fraught with peril from the outset. He faces treacherous terrain, encounters ruthless opportunists, and navigates the corrupt legal system that thrives in the absence of established authority. This system is personified by Judge Gannon, played with chillingly pragmatic villainy by John McIntyre. Gannon, ostensibly the upholder of the law, is in reality a ruthless land grabber, using his position to exploit the desperate and vulnerable newcomers lured by the promise of gold. He operates with impunity, confiscating property, manipulating legal proceedings, and, ultimately, enforcing his own brand of brutal justice. The first significant conflict arises when Webster is unjustly accused of murdering a Mountie and has his cattle seized by Gannon. Despite his innocence, Webster understands the futility of fighting Gannon's power. He recognizes the inherent corruption within the system and chooses to walk away, accepting his loss and focusing on future opportunities. This decision, while pragmatic, reveals a crucial aspect of Jeff's character, a reluctance to engage in conflict that doesn't directly benefit him. He's a man who prioritizes self-preservation, even if it means turning a blind eye to injustice. Accompanying Webster on his journey is Ben Tatum, portrayed by Walter Brennan. Tatum functions as both a loyal companion and a moral counterpoint to Webster's cynical outlook. He is a man of simple values, deeply rooted in a sense of fairness and decency. Tatum serves as a gentle nudge, constantly reminding Webster of the importance of community and the need to stand up for what is right. He represents the traditional values of the West, a stark contrast to the ruthlessness and greed that define Dawson City. The film introduces two significant female characters who further challenge Webster's self-centered perspective. Rhonda Castle, Ruth Roman, is a saloon owner, a strong and independent woman who has navigated the harsh realities of the Yukon Territory and built a successful business. She sees through Webster's detached exterior and recognizes a potential for good within him. She's drawn to his strength and self-reliance, but also disappointed by his unwillingness to engage in the struggles of the community. The other woman, Renee Vallon, Corinne Calvet, is a French-Canadian woman traveling to Dawson City to reunite with her fiancé. She represents innocence and hope, embodying the promise of a better future in this untamed land. However, her vulnerability makes her a target for Gannon's exploitation, further highlighting the moral depravity that permeates Dawson City. As Webster spends time in Dawson, he witnesses firsthand the extent of Gannon's corruption and the suffering it inflicts on the townspeople. He sees Gannon ruthlessly confiscate claims, exploit minors, and intimidate anyone who dares to challenge his authority. The plight of the townspeople, coupled with the unwavering moral compass of Ben Tatum and the quiet disapproval of Rhonda, begins to chip away at Webster's hardened exterior. The pivotal moment in Webster's transformation occurs when Gannon's men ambush a supply train meant for the town, leaving the community facing starvation. This act of blatant greed and disregard for human life forces Webster to confront the consequences of his apathy. He witnesses the desperation and suffering of the townspeople, and he realizes that his inaction has contributed to their plight. It is the death of Ben Tatum, however, that serves as the catalyst for Webster's ultimate transformation. Tatum, defending the innocent Renee Vallon from Gannon's thugs, is tragically killed. Tatum's sacrifice forces Webster to confront the true cost of his self-serving indifference. He finally understands that his pursuit of wealth has come at the expense of his own humanity. Fueled by grief and a newfound sense of responsibility, Webster abandons his pragmatic detachment and takes a stand against Gannon and his corrupt regime. He arms the townspeople, leading them in a rebellion against Gannon's tyranny. He becomes the reluctant hero, embracing the values of justice and community that he had previously dismissed. The final showdown between Webster and Gannon is a classic Western standoff, played out against the backdrop of the frozen Alaskan landscape. It is a battle not just for control of Dawson City, but also for the soul of Jeff Webster. In the end, Webster triumphs, defeating Gannon and restoring order to the town. However, victory comes at a price. Webster is wounded in the final confrontation, and he realizes that his days of solitary independence are over. He chooses to stay in Dawson City, accepting his responsibility to the community and embracing a future built on shared values and mutual support. The Far Country is more than just a Western. It's a character study of a man grappling with his own moral compass. James Stewart delivers a nuanced performance, capturing the complexities of Jeff Webster's transformation. He effectively portrays the character's initial cynicism and self-interest, gradually revealing the underlying humanity that ultimately drives him to act. The film's strength lies in its ability to depict the slow and often painful process of moral awakening. Anthony Mann's direction further enhances the film's impact. The stark beauty of the Alaskan landscape provides a powerful backdrop for the story, emphasizing the harsh realities of life on the frontier. The film's pacing is deliberate, allowing the audience to fully absorb the characters' emotions and motivations. Mann masterfully uses visual imagery to convey the themes of isolation, greed, and redemption. Furthermore, the far country subverts certain Western tropes. The setting itself is unusual, replacing the familiar desert landscapes with snow-covered mountains and frozen rivers. The protagonist is initially a reluctant hero, motivated by self-interest rather than altruism. The villain is not a stereotypical outlaw, but a corrupt judge who abuses his power under the guise of legality. These deviations from the norm contribute to the film's originality and its lasting impact. In conclusion, The Far Country is a compelling and thought-provoking Western that explores the complexities of human nature against the backdrop of the untamed Alaskan frontier. James Stewart's portrayal of Jeff Webster is a testament to his versatility as an actor, showcasing his ability to portray both the flaws and the potential for goodness within the human spirit. The film's themes of corruption, redemption, and the importance of community resonate even today, making The Far Country a timeless classic that stands apart from the typical Western genre. It's a story about finding one's moral center in a place where the rules are bent and broken, and about the enduring power of human connection even in the most remote and unforgiving corners of the world. It is ultimately a reminder that even in the far country, a sense of right and wrong can still guide the way.